what I would like to see a kid learn while he's here is that his life, which has gotten out of control, and the more out of control it is, the more control he then turns over to others, whether it's legal institutions, educational institutions, psychiatric institutions. Our job here is to have him become again the hero of his own narrative and in control of his own life.
Many parents tour Meridell before bringing their children here, and we welcome that. On most tours, families talk with patients. Their insights are refreshingly open and straightforward. As we take this virtual tour, you will hear excerpts of letters from former patients and parents. The letters are all real. Patients' names are fictitious.
Sam's last report card consisted of 6 A's and 1 B in geography. His teachers are amazed at the change in his attitude. Beth is doing great. She is going to school regularly, no skipping, and she's passing most of her classes by a big margin. Well, I think the biggest advantage of coming to school here is that our teachers work every day with the treatment team. So our students are not only getting school, but they're getting therapy, and these teachers are working together with the facility staff to make the best program possible.
Along our way to La Casa, we'll check out the cafe. Everyone eats here, patients, parents, staff, and visitors. Just go through the line and enjoy.
I see about at least 50% of the children that come to Meridell. That many children do have nutrition-related issues. And I have found that working with the children on goals that they develop and that they get a copy of has been tremendously instrumental in their success.
La Casa for boys and Bunkhouse and Ranch House for girls are programs that specialize in adolescent psychiatry. These patients range from 12 to 17 and have problems that include bipolar disorder, depression, anxiety disorder, ADHD, and other diagnoses.
He recognized that he could get better and he could simply feel better. And his dad began the journey of connecting with Will and of building a positive relationship with him.
Most of all, I didn't think that I would be happy and content with myself. Even now, I still think about some of the guidance that was given to me. Perhaps you could relay this letter to the girls who are currently at Bunkhouse. Let them know that there is living proof that in the end, if you work at it, things will get better.
I think sometimes parents are surprised by the information that we're able to provide through testing, just the amount of information that psychological testing can provide. Not only can it help differentiate between diagnoses that maybe they've been considering, often these kids will come in with a list of diagnoses that they've been given, and parents are just kind of wondering, what is actually going on? What is the correct name for what's going on? And then what do we do about it? And so psychological testing can really help pare that down to maybe a list of a few possibilities that then the treatment team will have more opportunity to interact with the kids and help make a final call and, okay, this is really what we think is going on.
To me, what you're talking about, the whole group dynamic, is, to me, the best part about being at Meridell, is getting to do group. They get a great group every day. Besides their goals and feelings and then reflections, in the morning and the evening, but they get some kind of therapeutic group, whether it's recreation therapy or a therapist-led group, because I think that this is their opportunity to kind of connect their thinking and their feelings, okay, be honest with themselves, and then be honest with other people, because so much of what has happened in their life, they've kept secret. Nobody has known about it. But I think that's how they start to not just make external changes, but internal change, which is really what we're about.
I was going to talk about the importance of family therapy. I think it's important for each child to develop a sense of independence first, a connection with their community, but then that can really translate to their family in a very powerful way. We do look at family dynamics. We look at the losses, the stresses, the difficulties, the joys, and beauty of being in a family, especially their particular family, and being able to engage with the parents in a way where they are working with someone who is invested in helping their child be successful and helping them be successful. It's difficult because we often ask parents to change, and they're changing in ways that their child might not like if they've been indulgent before, if they haven't set limits. So it's a stretch for everybody, not just the child, but for families. And then we have passes and visits and perhaps parents in groups where they can have opportunities therapeutically.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned parents in groups, because for a few years now in La Casa we've been having parents attend groups. Somebody mentioned earlier about turning points. It's so hard to tell what's the turning point for a kid in treatment. And oftentimes a parent will come to a group and say, gosh, I've never seen my son talk to other people this way, so revealing. And they'll just come away moved. And my experience has been that this can be a turning point for them if they're questioning whether they've done the right thing or what should they do differently. They'll come away saying they're believing in the program, and more importantly, believing in their son that he can do this, he can meet these higher expectations. So it's a great opportunity to see parents grow as well as kids.
And when we talk about team, the team includes the parents, and we make that known from the very beginning, that we expect you to be an active part of this team. Your input is valuable. Your ability to attend staffings, to attend groups is welcome. You are a part of this team.
Now we move on to Liberty Hall, which houses 3 neurobehavioral programs. First, we'll see the 2 boys programs. Eagles are 11 to 13-year-old boys, and Falcons are older boys, 14 to 17.
We sent him to Meridell specifically to stabilize him on medication, and boy, were we naive to think it was that simple. You took a child that was broken and lost and made him whole again and gave him direction.
He is able to control his anger and know when the triggers are coming on. We have not had any escalating problems at home, and that's a big step for him and us. It feels great to have our son back.
When the parents come to us, sometimes it's been after a long, exhausting journey through kind of the medical system. And so a big part of the work we do is shoring up their resources, is helping them identify ways that they can kind of take care of themselves as they're taking care of a sick child.
I think it's important for our kids to learn how to say, I feel angry right now, I feel sad right now. A lot of our kids, when they come to us, they have their emotions and they act them out rather than being able to verbalize them. And so I do a lot of work around verbalizing emotions.
I would agree with that, and I think there's also a piece that we work with in that many of our kids have been dealing with such a long time of frustration, kind of being in the bad kid role, that helping them to feel successful and be aware of the times that they are successes in their family, in their schools, in their communities.
The first thing that comes to my mind is a patient that we worked with who really came to us and was really angry and did not want to engage in treatment at all. And he spent several months just refusing to do any kind of therapy. And as he felt safe and comfortable, he really started to engage with the staff and he really started to engage in therapy.
I think I have a similar kiddo in mind who, when he first came to us, was almost sort of like a wooden boy. He was very rigid, smiled very rarely, spoke very rarely, and over the course of his treatment became very engaged with the other kids, with his family, and upon his discharge day we actually watched him come running up the hill and leaping into the room saying, "It's my discharge day," and kind of seeing that life coming about in him was very rewarding.
Just one more program to tour, but first, let's take a little break and get some exercise.
What makes being a recreation therapist worth it for me is watching kids grow and be able to work with other peers, interact positively when maybe they haven't been successful in those areas before, become leaders that they never thought they could be, gain self-esteem, do things they never thought they would.
Now we'll tour our last program. Jules is our neurobehavioral program for 12 to 17-year-old girls.
After I went to juvenile detention and to Meridell, I thought it was stupid that I couldn't just go home. And after about 2 weeks, I realized that I had a lot of issues. So I thank you for helping me and supporting me. You guys are all amazing people. I'll never forget you. The key difference in her since discharge has been that she's able to process. It may still take her many more attempts to get it right, but she gets it. It's a blessing every day to watch. We are so glad to have Amber acting like a teen.
I think it's just giving them a sense of themselves and who they are and finding their strengths. Being able to feel in control and have some sense of mastery over their lives.
On a different level, I think the interdisciplinary team coming together in a cohesive way to provide everything from intensive therapy to bedtime stories and support brushing their teeth makes all the difference.
One of the reasons I love these children is because they're not mean. What they do is rarely something that they've done on purpose. It's not manipulative. It's more irritability. It's more mood swings. It's more impulsive behavior. And that's part of the illness.
I think that for a lot of these parents, these kids have been in and out of acute care hospitals for quite a number of years. And it starts to provide an answer. If once we do the quantitative EEG and we see abnormalities in the frontal and temporal lobes, which is typically what we see with impulsive explosive aggression, then we have an opportunity to provide a different treatment that they haven't received before. And typically we use anticonvulsants. We treat it like an emotional seizure, in other words. And we titrate the medications up over time, and typically our responses have been good. And so it's a lot of times, a lot of feedback we get from parents is the first time that we've ever been able to control these emotional outbursts for their child.
I've noticed that sometimes when I give parents information about the QEEG result, that they feel relief and they go, you know, I knew something was there, I knew something was missing. And I think part of that relief is knowing I didn't do anything wrong necessarily. This wasn't a parenting mistake that my child is having so many outbursts and having so much difficulty. There's some wiring, there's some things going on with this child's brain and the processing of information and handling of their emotions that they couldn't help.
There is relief. There is relief that we are able to identify a neurophysiological reason that their child has these random, impulsive, aggressive tendencies.
We see the irritable and explosive as being part of their illness and not something that needs to be disciplined altogether. So that's something that needs to be treated. We don't use a punitive kind of discipline at all. We use a much softer discipline where we try to provide incentives for appropriate behavior rather than try to punish away behavior that is part of their illness.
So kids will invariably recreate the kind of dysfunctional patterns they had in different systems before they got here. And one of the areas I think that we really excel in is that as a team we are constantly evaluating our own system so that we can withstand the vicissitudes and dysfunctional dynamics that the kids bring in here. And instead of just punishing the kids for recreating the same patterns, we already are working to understand those patterns and help the kid correct those patterns by the way we react to those patterns in a more functional way than the previous systems might have.
To whomever is in this room next, good luck, and don't forget the most important thing about coming here to Meridell. Work your treatment. Listen to the life skills. They'll mean something to you later on, trust me. And if you're asked why you're here, tell the truth. You obviously got here for more than one thing. I know I did. Bring up your issues. You're probably thinking that you don't have any problems, but think again. Do your schoolwork. Don't fight your treatment. Work your treatment. Good luck, get going, and don't waste your time here.
We get a lot of parents that will tour the facility before they make a decision about placing their kid here. And again, quite often the feedback is, this place just feels good. This place seems like my kid could get better.
That's our tour. Thanks for spending some time with us. If you want more information, or if you want an actual tour, please call us or email. I'm Ellen Ryman.